This is Matador News. And these are today's headlines. House Speaker Paul Ryan has met with presidential candidate Donald Trump in an attempt to create unity in the Republican Party. A police email ordering the Brussels Metro to close minutes before the March terrorist attack went unread because it was sent to the wrong address. And the Golden State Warriors will advance to the Western Conference Finals after defeating the Portland Trail Blazers in Game 5.
Hello and welcome to Matador News. I'm Esther Kim.
And I'm Grecia Lopez. Republican candidate Donald Trump and House Speaker Paul Ryan meet in Washington, D.C. for the first time. The two released a joint statement signaling it was a positive step towards unifying the Republican Party. In their statement, they said they were honest about their differences.
He's a very warm and genuine person. Like I said, I met him for like 30 seconds in 2012, so we really don't know each other, and we started to get to know each other.
Anti-Trump and pro-Trump protesters were gathered outside of the meeting chanting RIP GOP. Though Ryan said he was encouraged by their discussion, he refrained from offering Trump an endorsement. Trump also met California Representative Kevin McCarthy and Kentucky Senator Mitch McConnell.
One of the 6 Baltimore police officers charged in connection with the arrest and death of Freddie Gray is on trial today. Edward Nero is the second officer to go on trial. He faces misdemeanor charges of assault, reckless endangerment, and misconduct in office. Prosecutors said Nero disregarded his police training when he chased Gray in West Baltimore last year, arrested him without probable cause, and failed to secure him in a backseat of a police transport van without a seatbelt. Gray broke his neck in the back of a police vehicle and a week later died from the injuries. The case against the first of 6 officers, William Porter, ended in a mistrial in December because the jury could not come back with a unanimous verdict. Nero requested a bench trial without a jury. The proceedings should provide the first verdict in case and influence the strategy in following cases. Matador News reporter Susie Rose is in the Sundial studio with a young filmmaker who just made a movie about police brutality. Let's see what they have to say.
I'm here with Chris Steiner to talk about his senior thesis film, Vestige, he helped produce. So Chris, can you tell us a little bit about what inspired you guys to tell this story?
Well, the guy who wrote the movie, his name is Taylor Celine, so he wrote and he directed the film. And he has been having this idea kind of rattle around the back of his head since, a year and a half ago. And what happened was we all took I think it was CTVA 421, which is like a writing for short film class, and we all wrote our own scripts, and Taylor wrote this one. So he was really inspired by seeing everything that was happening with all these police brutality kind of events all around the country, so like Ferguson and all that stuff. And he saw all that stuff happening and he really wanted to talk about it in a way that it wasn't being talked about. So he wanted to tell the story about this young kid who really lost his father to a police brutality incident. And instead of kind of just lying down and letting it go over him, this kid decides to take revenge. So Taylor was really interested in that story, and then I was interested in his script, so I jumped on and produced the movie.
And what was that movie-making process like for you guys?
Well, CSUN, the way that it works is that we get some money from the school, and then we get some money from the Hollywood Foreign Press Association, which is a company that puts on the Golden Globe Awards. So we get that money, and then we have to raise a lot of money ourselves. And then every semester, CSUN gets this grant from ARRI, which is a company that makes motion picture cameras. So pretty much every movie that's come out within recent memory that was like a huge blockbuster movie was shot on this camera called the ARRI Alexa. And the Alexa, the guy who runs ARRI, his name is Bill Russell, he's one of the vice presidents, he was a CSUN graduate. So every semester, one of the films get this thing called the Alexa Project, where basically we get a camera, we get a dolly package, we get lights, we get all this stuff for absolutely free. And luckily our film, we submitted a proposal for the grant and we received it. So we were able to spend a lot of the money that we got. We shot at the CBS backlot in Studio City. We shot in Santa Clarita. We shot in Culver City right next to the Sony lot. So we were able to take all that money that we had from the school and the Hollywood Foreign Press and the stuff that we had raised and put that towards our production as opposed to renting cameras and stuff. So the movie making process was actually incredibly smooth because of the generous donation from ARRI and all these other companies.
And the film is finished and it went to the showcase. Can you tell us a little bit about that and maybe what's next for the film?
Yeah, so the Senior Film Showcase is an event that the CTVA department puts on every year at the last 2 years it's been at the Academy of Motion Pictures Arts and Sciences in Beverly Hills. So the Academy of Motion Pictures Arts and Sciences is the company that puts on the Oscars. So they put on this event, and basically 5 films get chosen to screen there, and our movie premiered. We opened the whole festival, and now we're going to be submitting to a whole bunch of different festivals like Toronto, Sundance, Cannes, all that stuff. So hopefully we'll get a play of those too.
Thank you so much, Chris. Thanks for your time, and we'll see you next time. Thanks. We'll go back to the studio with Grecia.
The U.S. activates a missile defense site in Romania today. The Aegis Ashore missile defense system, operated by NATO, can intercept short and medium-range enemy missiles. The Romanian-based system is the first land-based defense missile launcher in Europe and is part of the NATO defense shield. NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg said at today's lunch ceremony that the system does not undermine Russian nuclear deterrent, but Russia says the system is a security threat and an attempt to destroy strategic balance in Europe. The U.S. has insisted the shield is directed against rogue states like Iran and not Russia. Russia dismissed the justification, calling the launch a breach of its 1987 agreement with the U.S. and says that the country is taking protective measures.
A Belgian commission says in order to close the Brussels metro before the deadly bombings failed to reach relevant authorities because the email was sent to the wrong address. After the twin blast at the Brussels airport struck, killing 16, the Belgian Crisis Center sent the email to the railway police chief, warning him of the suicide bombing so he could close the subways just in case. The third suicide bomber struck the Malbec metro station in central Brussels about an hour later. 16 more people were killed. The railway police chief told the commissions an email was sent to his personal email address, and he did not see the message until after the attacks. But he also said the message came only 2 minutes before the subway attack, and it would not have been enough time to evacuate the metro networks.
With less than a month until the largest primary in the country, Bernie Sanders' state director in California has left the campaign. Sanders himself says they plan to spend more time railing the state than investing in TV ads due to how expensive California media markets are. But former California State Director Michael Serrasso suggested they focus on digital efforts. Serrasso says his departure was mutually agreed upon as a result of different views on campaign strategy. The California presidential primary election will be on June 7th.
Brazil's Senate votes to suspend the country's first female president, Dilma Rousseff, and begin impeachment trial against her. In a televised speech, Rousseff says she may have made mistakes but did not commit any crimes. In a vote of 55 to 22, lawmakers accepted the charges accusing Rousseff of borrowing from state banks to make the economy look healthier in the run-up to her 2014 election. She has denied any wrongdoing and calls the charges politically motivated. Brazil's vice president took over as interim president for the duration of the Senate trial that could take up to 6 months.
The gun George Zimmerman used to kill Trayvon Martin 4 years ago was supposed to be auctioned today, but a notice on site gun broker says the item is no longer in its system. The original listing set the starting bid at $5,000. Zimmerman said he wanted the money to fight Black Lives Matter violence against law enforcement. Zimmerman bragged that the firearm is a piece of American history used to defend his life. He says, as a free American, he could do what he wants with his possessions. A jury acquitted Zimmerman in 2013 in the death of Martin, an unarmed African-American teen.
Magnet programs in the LA Unified School District are going to grow for the 2017 to 2018 school year. LAUSD board members voted unanimously to create or expand 13 magnet programs. Just over 4,600 new seats will be added, costing about $3.5 million. The district plans to use the expansion to keep students from fleeing to charter schools. Most of the programs will focus on science, technology, engineering, arts, and math known as the STEAM.
Climbers have reached the top of Mount Everest for the first time in 2 years. Professional climbers Adrian Ballinger and Corey Richards are documenting their climb using the hashtag #EverestNoFilter on Instagram. Fatal avalanches forced the closure of the 2 previous climbing seasons on the mountain. The duo is climbing without supplemental oxygen, although their Sherpa support team is using it. You can follow their journey on Snapchat with the hashtag #EverestNoFilter.
Starting next month, California doctors will be allowed to perform assisted suicide on patients who wish to end their own lives due to medical reasons. Matador reporter Stephanie Bedoya is in the newsroom with more on the story.
Assisted suicide, also known as euthanasia, is when a doctor intentionally provides patients suffering from an incurable and painful disease a lethal dose of medication to end their own lives. Governor Brown is calling the new law a comfort to any person who is dying in prolonged, excruciating pain. I spoke to a few CSUN students about how they feel about the controversial issue.
I do think that it shouldn't be allowed because, I mean, I personally believe that, no one has the right to take your own life, and neither do you. When the time is right, you will die.
I feel like every individual should have that option to be like, you know what, maybe I don't want to suffer anymore.
I feel that it's a very controversial topic. I feel like people who take into account religion might be against it because no one should take away your life, nor you should have the right to take it away. But for those who aren't so big on the topic of religion, I feel like they're more open-minded and might consider that it would be okay to vote for it.
On June 9th, California will join 4 other states who already have legal assisted suicide: Oregon, Washington, Vermont, and Montana. Medical groups and hospitals that wish not to participate in the end of life option can choose to opt out. Most religious hospitals are expected to reject the law, and Pasadena's Huntington Hospital has already announced it would not provide assisted suicide. Kaiser hospitals have said they will comply with the law. Now let's go to Celine Zavala with the latest on business.
For the first time, Uber drivers in New York will officially be represented by the Independent Drivers Guild. The guilds will represent 35,000 drivers, discounted legal services, life and disability insurance, and roadside assistance are just a few of the benefits drivers will receive. The union will also represent the demands of drivers when meeting with Uber, as well as appeal cases of drivers banned from using the app. But Uber says it still will not offer paid health, insurance, and sick days to the drivers. Uber continues to insist that its drivers are not employees but independent contractors. Nissan Motors agrees to loan more than $2 billion to Mitsubishi Motors in an attempt to save the company after it lied about its fuel economy ratings. The deal buys Nissan about 1/3 of Mitsubishi. Nissan has a similar past as the automotive manufacturer Renault saved it from collapsing more than a decade ago. Company executives say the deal will be finalized after an examination of the potential risks, but they are confident Mitsubishi problems are already well known. Last month, Mitsubishi admitted to reducing air and tire resistance to produce falsified fuel economy ratings. Now let's go to Amber Linehan with health.
Thank you, Celine. Providence Tarzana Hospital receives $624 million to use for expansions. The hospital will be using the money on upgrading their patient wing, emergency department, and other areas. The expansion is expected to create 1,000 construction jobs in the area. The hospital receives 50,000 patients a year, and officials say the improvements will help make things more efficient. Now, Tylenol may make people less empathetic. Researchers at Ohio State University say the main ingredient in Tylenol, acetaminophen, reduces a person's empathy for other problems. The study evaluated 80 college students. Researchers say the findings indicate that the drug not only numbs pain, but pleasure and compassion as well. The findings are a cause for concern since more than 50 million Americans use this medication weekly. Have you ever wondered how social media could affect your life off screen? Let's go to Matador news reporter Ashley LaRue in the newsroom with the story.
Thank you, Amber. Rapper Azealia Banks is making headlines after tweeting racist and homophobic comments towards singer Zayn Malik. Some CSUN students say her tweets will resonate with the younger generation.
I feel like it's a huge impact because if you think about it, lots of younger adults are looking towards the celebrities and stuff. That's setting a bad example on them, because we're past, racism, segregation. Like, we're moving past that, what I mean? Like, how does that look to have somebody, it's up on this pedestal, still showing, all these other people, oh, this is what it's about, that person's, not like us, you know what I mean? So that's kind of a bad example.
It hurts our society, or the younger generations at least, because nowadays technology is like a pretty big thing. It's like everywhere now.
It's just a negative image that it's bringing to women of color.
I would have to say it affects it pretty negatively. Like, honestly, I kind of see that as kind of an abuse of power.
Banks has been dropped from London's Born and Bred festival. Celebrities aren't the only ones concerned with their social media posts.
Maybe after maybe after I post it, I realized I should probably take that down for future references. But yeah, for the most part.
I kind of just don't care. Like, I just say what I say. That's just what I think. But I try to be as, like, round-minded, I guess, if that's what it means. Like, I try to see every view.
I don't really offend anyone when I post anything, but I do try to think twice. I'll post bad stuff.
I'm aware that jobs look at my social media. Because of that, I try to stay away from posting topics a little too controversial.
Azalea recently apologized and deleted her hateful tweets, but the controversy remains. Now let's go back to Celine with the entertainment news.
Sorry, Believers, Justin Bieber will no longer be taking pictures with fans. The singer posted on Instagram that he knows people will be disappointed, but he doesn't owe anyone a picture. The Biebs received backlash after the post, but he was quick to respond. He says he doesn't want to be a slave to the world by constantly posing for pictures, and he has to set boundaries. Beyoncé kicks off her Formation tour this Saturday at the Pasadena Rose Bowl. The singer released her Lemonade album 2 weeks ago that many say was written about her rocky relationship with husband Jay-Z. The album currently has all its songs on the Billboard Top 100. Beyoncé also added 8 new shows to her tour, and tickets will go on sale tomorrow. A number of celebrities gathered at a private memorial held for Prince at the Samuel Goldwyn Theater. Famous friends of the singer spoke at the memorial like Spike Lee and Nile Rodgers. Prince's ex-wife, Anna Fantastic, organized the memorial. The closest family member to attend the private memorial was the singer's stepbrother. The legendary musician's family says a memorial service will be announced in the near future. Now let's go to Amber with sports.
The Warriors were looking to close out the Blazers in Game 5 of their second-round playoff series. But first, Steph Curry was awarded MVP for the second straight season. Curry then went to seal the win, scoring 29 points. Klay Thompson became the first player to have at least 5 threes in 7 straight games, also recording his 4th 30-point game this postseason. Golden State will appear in back-to-back Western Conference Finals for the second time in franchise history. Golden State will be playing the Spurs or Thunder in the finals. The Players Golf Championship is underway at TPC Sawgrass in Florida. Ricky Fowler returns after winning last year's championship crown. He put together one of the most memorable finishes of the season by shooting 6 under par over the final 6 holes to force a playoff. He eventually edged Sergio Garcia and Kevin Kisner to score his first PGA Tour victory in 3 years. The winner this year will take home a whopping $1.8 million, a payout matched only by the 3 PGA majors. Washington Nationals pitcher Max Scherzer tied the MLB record of 20 strikeouts in a 9-inning game. Scherzer tied the record in a 6-hit complete game victory against the Detroit Tigers. He ended with the 119 pitches, 96 of them for strikes, and no walks. Scherzer has a history of making history. He tossed 2 no-hitters in his first season with the Nationals in 2015. Scherzer is now in the exclusive club with Randy Johnson, Kerry Wood, and Roger Clemens, who all recorded 20 Ks twice. That's all for sports. Let's go back to Grecia for the weather.
A big warm wave is set to hit Southern California. Today's weather is warm with a high of 80 degrees. The deserts will be warm with a high temperature of 91 degrees. However, be prepared for a nice chilly cool down this weekend with a low of 75 degrees.
Thank you for watching Matador News. I'm Esther Kim.
I'm Grecia Lopez.
I'm Amber Linehan.
And I'm Celine Zavala.